Hello, everybody. It's Mrs. Pound, and we are studying Chapter 2.2 on bacteria from Purposeful Designs Life Science. Today, we're going to talk about Section 225 on bacteria and disease. So, our objectives today are to name several disease-causing bacteria and the diseases they cause, determine where bacteria thrive, and analyze how best to avoid being exposed to harmful bacteria, and describe methods of protecting food from being spoiled by bacteria. Now, a pathogen is a disease-causing organism. So all of these bacteria that we are going to talk about are pathogens. One disease that's caused by a bacteria is Lyme disease, and it's caused by some deer ticks that carry Borrelia burgdorferi. And I may not pronounce that last part correctly, but I know that it is Borrelia. And in the background, you can see a deer tick so that you know what they look like because we do have them in our area. Botulism is also caused by Clostridium botulism. Now, botulism is something that you can get from food that has been improperly canned. This is why you should never eat food from a can that looks like the can is bulging or it's spoiled in any way because it might contain botulism. And actually, in the background, you should always, when you're canning, either use a water bath or a pressure canner. You should never just turn your jams or jellies upside down to can because that could be a source of botulism. So a water bath or a pressure canner are best. Now, botulism, we don't hear about it too much anymore, but botulism can cause terrible stomach pains, partial paralysis, and respiratory failure, which means that you will not be able to breathe. Now, if you drink water contaminated with bacteria, you might contract cholera. Cholera causes severe diarrhea, vomiting, dehydration, and possibly death. This is mostly contracted in areas with poor sanitation, underdeveloped countries. This is still a major problem, and a lot of people still die from it. Now, other diseases caused by bacteria are gangrene. Maybe you've heard of that, where basically you get an infection in a wound and it starts to basically kind of rot. Also, tuberculosis, something called Legionnaire's disease, bacterial meningitis, tetanus, some kinds of pneumonia, typhoid fever, whooping cough, are all diseases caused by bacteria. Also, leprosy, which is in the Bible, are all caused by bacteria. Methods of preserving food to prevent bacterial growth include pasteurization. This is the process of heating liquids to kill harmful bacteria. That's what we do with milk. Preservatives. These are a chemical added to food to slow the growth of bacteria and mold. In this, there are preservatives added to the bread so it will last on the shelf longer, and also to the meats so that they will not get slimy as fast. Now, we do have to be careful with preservatives because not only do they slow the growth of those things in our food, but also if we consume a lot of these things, it's one of the things that is damaging all of the bacteria in our gut. It's also affecting that. So we have to be careful with these things. Canning. Heat kills bacteria. So canned foods, when they're canned, they can last for a very long time, but they must be properly canned so that we can avoid botulism. Freeze drying. Moisture is needed for bacteria to grow, and that is removed. And so in the background, this is freeze dried ice cream, and this can last for a very long time. So astronauts will eat this in outer space. It's very lightweight. I food when I went backpacking because it's just very lightweight in your backpack and it lasts years, a very long time if it's freeze dried. Refrigeration and freezing. The cold temperatures slow the growth of the bacteria. Now, bacteria thrive in warm temperatures, so that's why we refrigerate things. Untreated water. Deer ticks, improperly packaged and handled foods, and dirty cuts and wounds. Right here, we have a very dirty nail, so that would be a good source of infection. To avoid exposure to bacteria, refrigerate or freeze food. Eat only properly prepared food. Avoid places where deer ticks are found. And treat wounds immediately. Wash hands and surfaces. This is very important. Sanitation. And avoid contact with infected people. So you see the girl with the mask. Also, wearing gloves helps with that as well. So our objectives today were to name several disease-causing bacteria and the diseases they cause, determine where bacteria thrive, and analyze how best to avoid being exposed to harmful bacteria, and describe methods of protecting food from being spoiled by bacteria. So don't forget your 5 questions in your notes and keep watching to answer the questions at the end.